Why are thousands of students in Jharkhand suddenly marching towards the assembly? And more importantly, why has this protest become so serious that more than 10,500 police personnel had to be deployed in Ranchi? If you think this is just another student protest over a leaked paper or a recruitment exam, it's much bigger than that. Because what we are seeing in Jharkhand is part of a much deeper problem. Young people losing trust in the system that decides their future. And that's exactly what we need to understand. For around 17 days, students in Jharkhand had been protesting over alleged irregularities surrounding JPSC and JSSC examinations. Their demand was pretty straightforward. They wanted a fair investigation, they wanted reforms in the examination system, they wanted action against those responsible, and most importantly, they wanted a CBI investigation. And now here's where things become interesting. The students announced that they were going to march towards the Jharkhand assembly, and the government clearly wasn't taking this lightly. More than 10,500 police personnel were deployed. Barricades were up, prohibitory orders were imposed, schools in Ranchi were shut. Basically, the government was preparing for a major confrontation. But then the students arrived. And look at what they are carrying. The national flag, black placards, their demands. That's it. And within minutes, the first barricade was breached. Then the second. And eventually, the students reached the third layer of barricades near the assembly. Now, obviously, the police had to stop them. So what happened? First, water cannons. But here's the crazy part. Instead of running away, some students started dancing in the water. Some were even joking that water pressure wasn't strong enough. Now, think about that for a second. When people are so frustrated that even a water cannon doesn't scare them anymore, that's a sign of desperation. Then the situation escalated. Tear gas was used and later lathi charge took place. Reports mentioned injuries among protesters, including female students. And this is where we need to pause for a moment. Because it is very easy to look at these images and simply say police versus students. But that's not really the full story. The bigger question is, why did it reach this point? Why did thousands of students feel that marching towards the assembly was their only option? To understand that, we need to look at what happened with the JPSC examination. The immediate controversy revolves around the 14th JPSC Civil Service examination. Candidates raised questions about their results. One disputed OMR sheets went viral on social media. Questions were raised about how a candidate could allegedly qualify despite attempting fewer questions than what appeared necessary to reach the expected cutoff. Then there were more questions. Why weren't category-wise cutoff released? Why did the published merit list create further doubts? And why were students not satisfied with the state CID investigation? This is where you understand why the students are so angry. Imagine preparing for a government examination for years. You spend your money on coaching, you sacrifice your time, you put your career on hold. And then you start wondering, what if the system itself isn't fair? That's the fear behind this protest. And apparently, this frustration didn't begin with the 14th examination.
अच्छे से अच्छे ढंग से पहले देख लीजिए हमारी क्या मांगे हैं। आप रिक्रूटमेंट नहीं ले रहे हैं सर। 9 साल से दरोगा का बहाली नहीं आया है।
The source material points to controversies around JPSC examinations going back years. So for many students, this isn't just about one exam. It's about years of uncertainty, years of allegations, and years of feeling that nobody is properly fixing the system.
कि झारखंड के जनता जो 3.5 करोड़ है उसमें से एक वही व्यक्ति है।
And now we come to the political angle, because obviously politics has entered the picture.
The party's top leadership has remained conspicuously silent. The BJP has wasted no time in calling it out.
The BJP is strongly supporting the students. The party is attacking the JMM-led Jharkhand government, and politically that makes sense. The opposition's job is to question the government, but here's where things get interesting. The BJP was also in power in Jharkhand for years. During that period, civil service examinations were reportedly not conducted for several years. So the obvious question is, if the system was broken, why wasn't it fixed then? And this is something viewers need to think about. Because in Indian politics, the same protest can be described very differently depending on who is in power. When you are in opposition, you support the protesters. When you are in government, you may call the same protest a law and order problem. And the students themselves seem to understand this. They are telling political parties, don't hijack our movement. Because this isn't supposed to be about BJP versus Congress. It isn't simply JMM versus BJP. At the heart of this entire issue are three things: education, employment, and trust. And honestly, that brings us to the most important question of this entire story. Why do governments respond only after students come to the streets? Think about it. If there were complaints earlier, if there were allegations earlier, if there were warnings earlier, why wait until thousands of students march towards the assembly? Why wait until barricades are broken? Why wait until tear gas is fired? Why wait until people get injured? Because governments can always talk. They can investigate, they can sit down with the students, they can negotiate. And sometimes, simply listening early can prevent a much bigger confrontation later. But when people lose faith in the system, they stop waiting. And that's what makes the Ranchi protest important. Because this isn't just about what happened in Jharkhand today. It raises a much bigger question about India's young population. What happens when educated young people prepare for years for government jobs and don't trust the examination system anymore? What happens when unemployment increases? What happens when recruitment controversies keep appearing? And what happens when political parties start using these frustrations for their own advantage? That's when a student protest can become something much bigger. And perhaps that's the real warning coming out of Ranchi. The youth are watching. They are watching governments, they are watching political parties, and they are watching whether their voices are actually heard. So yes, this is a story about JPSC. It's a story about student protest. It's a story about politics. But ultimately, it's a story about trust. Because once an entire generation start believing that system isn't working for them, fixing that trust is going to be much harder than simply putting up another barricade.